The little one. What's up, guys? It's right here, buddy. I am going live here with my good buddy Franco. So we're going to be on his group. If you guys are on, make sure you join his group. Okay? So, here we go.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, and so the group is full of entrepreneurs and agency owners. So
Cool.
that's sort of like what I'm going after. And the concept is like big dreamers. So I honestly believe, and you'll hear me say this like in an interview, but I honestly believe that every single entrepreneur is like a kid at heart, and they essentially like never gave up on their dreams, and they eventually grew up to become an entrepreneur. Right? That's the idea there.
I love it.
Yeah. Sweet. Anything that you think that you should know or want to know before we get started?
No, this sounds fun. I like
Good.
that you got a lot of cool structure here, man, and I'm glad that you did this, reach out to us, and just glad to build a relationship, man. So it's cool.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Yeah. For sure. Cool. Yeah, so I just see you're live, and then people are, I guess, coming in. That's cool. All right, let me see. Da. All right. So, if you're ready.
I'm ready, buddy.
All right, cool.
Drop the hammer, baby. Drop the hammer.
Let's do it. Oh man, okay, I can't start until 16 seconds. We're good though. Cool, man, and thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Here we go.
Cool.
Start live broadcast. I think we're live, James.
What's up? What's going on, man?
What's going on, Big Dreamers? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys are with us, do us a favor and hashtag Team Live. Gives us a bunch of a huge warm welcome. Big Dreamer welcome to my man James Smiley, who took the time out of his day to come here and drop value bombs on us, guys.
Dreamers,
so, James,
big dreamers, big dreamers, big dreamers. Awesome, man. I love your crew. Love it, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So guys, for those of you who don't know, or if you've been living under a rock, James Smiley is making a huge impact in the digital marketing world, in the entrepreneurial world and stuff. And he has grown, and this is, I think, just amazing. He has grown 2 separate businesses from $0 to $20 million. I'm gonna extract as much secrets from him as I can to teach us how he actually made that happen. Okay, so if you guys are with us, hashtag Team Live, and give us some hearts and reactions and comment as much as you can. All your questions, let us know, because we want to extract as much from his brain as we possibly can in the time that he gives us. Okay?
So just to let everyone know, this is the first time I've interacted with you guys, so my goal is to overdo everything. So I will not hold back. Ask your questions. My man Franco is here, and I'm glad to be hanging out with you guys.
Awesome. So for you, James, there's a bunch of people that are coming on now, and they're saying Team Live and stuff like that, but Be Live won't let us see who's actually going to be on and stuff. So we're just gonna show the comments and stuff, and then we'll just ask those questions away. Okay?
Sure.
So first of all, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us what your backstory is. Tell us how you got to where you are. Just give us maybe a condensed version of what became of the man James Smiley.
Yeah, well, number one, I grew up in the inner city in Seattle, in a place called Beacon Hill, Rainier Valley. Spent most of my time there, all my impressionable years. I'm half Korean, half Italian. Grew up in an all-black neighborhood. My stepmom's Mexican, so I'm down with everybody. Okay, so no, seriously, it was really fun growing up. My dad taught me. I was one of the only people in my neighborhood. Honestly, of all my friends growing up, like 12, 13, 14 years old, I was one of the only people that actually had a dad in the home. And I think that made a massive difference in my life and in my upbringing. Even though we grew up when I talk about poor for us, I mean, some people were poor, I'll promise you that. But I remember going grocery shopping with $6.17. And I remember my mom telling us to look in the car seats to find any other nickels or quarters or anything people had dropped. And if we found 30 cents, we were pumped, because we're okay, top ramen is 10 cents a pop. That's 4 more top ramens, And so,
Gosh.
yeah, man, it was tough. My dad just taught me to work hard, you know. So I had 3 jobs growing up. You know, I usually had 2 or 3 jobs. My dad had 2 or 3 jobs too. He was a blue collar guy from the Midwest, and so I believe my dad was an immigrant to the country, if I remember the story right. But he just told me, he's like, "Look, man, people say we're in a tough neighborhood, but he's like, man, you ain't in like Czechoslovakia, Bangladesh, like, you know, he was naming all these countries. He's like, it's hard there, you know. Here, like, worst case scenario is like, he's like, James, the government's going to give you food, shelter, and clothes. Like, that is literally the worst case scenario here. So like, he's like, just go out there, try to go after your dreams, work as hard as you can.
Love it.
Yeah, man. So I just started hustling really young. I was really blessed, man. I mean, I made my first 6 figures when I was 20. And the 30 seconds of that was I was working at a retail store in downtown Seattle, a place called Car Toys. It's still there, right across from Key Arena. And I managed a little kiosk of cell phones. This was in like 1999 and 2000. I managed a kiosk, and I did really well. I became like number 3 in the country for selling this service called Nextel. So Nextel is like, oh, cell phone carrier.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it was 3 or 3rd in the country, a 3rd in my region. I don't know, but some big wig from Nextel came by to talk to me, and she said, "Hey, they're selling this thing called a BlackBerry," and she's like, "No one wants to sell it. It's crazy. It's expensive." And she's like, "We're looking for like young people," and she's like, "Do you want to be one of the first 25 people to sell BlackBerry?" And that changed my life. You know, I was just looking for an opportunity, you know, and I mean, where I came from, there wasn't a lot of opportunities, but there was, you know, there was a little bit here and there. And so I just tried to be on, like my dad used to tell me, he used to make fun of me, but he's like, you just got to be not high, not drunk, and in your right mind, and you'll see an opportunity when it comes by. So, so anyway, that was my goal, and that's kind of what I did, man. So,
Wow, that's terrific.
yeah, my first year at Nextel, I started using digital marketing to make money, and so it wasn't called digital marketing, like, but I literally, I'd never owned a laptop in my life, and I got a laptop, and the IT guy was showing me how to use it. He was showing me how to use Microsoft Outlook, and he showed me this thing called a distribution list.
Okay.
And I was like, a distribution list? He's like, yeah, you can send up to like 1,000 emails. But he's like, actually, I don't even know how many emails you can send. But he's like, don't use that. We only send 1 email at a time. But in my mind, I didn't know anything. So I was, and to be honest, I was kind of like always looking for like the smart way to do things.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was like, so you telling me like if I hit that, I can send an email to like 1,000 customers? He's like, yeah, but don't do that. I was like, okay. And then this other lady came by and she showed me my account deck. And she's like, here's all your accounts. And it was an Excel sheet. I'd never seen an Excel file in my whole life. And it was an Excel file, and it said, and there was a column that said emails. And I was like, are you trying to tell me there's 8,000 emails in this thing? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, and I can send, and I was going, okay. And so that's what I started doing. I started emailing thousands of people at a time. This was back in the day when, you know, I know it now, but back in the day, like open rates were like 90, 95%. And so
Oh wow, yeah.
I would load up all those emails and send them, and I would just like look at, you know, I'm like, well, what do I send in the email? I don't even know. So I would just look at a flyer that said like Blackberries, you know, $300, this, and I would just type it right into the email. Just type whatever was on the flyer, put my name and phone number, and hit send. And I kid you not, man, the first time I did it, I just told the story at my mastermind last week, but I was like, you know, I'm sitting there, like I sent the email, and then I'm like playing around with phones, and my phone rings. I'm like, who's this? And I answer it, and they're like, is this James Smiley? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, and did you just send me this email? I was like, yeah. I'm thinking, dude, it's probably the government. It's probably the police. I'm like, who's asking? And he's like, no, I want 3 of those. And I was like, really? And so yeah, man, it was crazy back then, man. But so I did well there, and then I got recruited to help start a software company called Telenav, a Silicon Valley startup. I was a 6th employee, and we took that thing from 0 to 15.5 million subscribers in my 20s, and it was history, man. It was history after that. We IPO'd that company. We were the first Google Maps.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I knew that the software company, I didn't realize like how huge that became then.
Yeah, so we were I was like the Russell Brunson of the company, so to speak. I was the face of the company. I traveled the country, and I basically preached our gospel to everybody. I mean, I trained over 12,000 cell phone reps. You know, if you worked for a cell phone carrier and you sold phones in the early to mid 2000s, I probably spoke to you at a kickoff meeting or something. You know, I spoke at every carrier kickoff meeting and trained thousands of reps. And then, and then I just, after that, you know, I just was able to do consulting and stuff like that and just kind of bounce around wherever I wanted to. So I did, you know, things like help start Boost Mobile, helped AT&T go from AT&T wanted to start an innovation center here in Plano, and I helped them go from 0 to 24 million in 2 years. I was the leader of that division. Did some work with Amazon, helping them start Amazon Go. Did work with Facebook, helping them understand the messenger bot system before bots came out. So just done a lot, and but my passion has been all about like helping solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, and so that's where I kind of really caught on to the Russell Brunson movement and all those things. And last August we started doing coaching and stuff, and so we've had over 100 people join our coaching program since last August. So
That's amazing. That's amazing, brother. That's, I mean, don't, can I ask, do you mind me asking and telling all your audience like how old you are?
I'm 38.
You're 38. You're
Yeah,
38.
I'm 38.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you got 8 years on me so far. So maybe I'll be hopefully catch up on you.
Yeah.
But that's amazing, man. So okay, cool. So you're so I know sales, right? So sales was a huge big deal in like your entrepreneur journey. So we have a lot of agency owners and entrepreneurs in the group, and they've been dying to ask you a bunch of sales questions, right?
Cool.
And so, what would let me just ask you this: what would be the number one thing that you could say, like, if you were going to give you in your sales training, if you were to give like a high level overview to us about like what we should be doing to be able to land high ticket clients and to close high ticket clients, what would you say like some of the stuff that would be useful for anybody to know?
I think a lot of things come to mind. Number one, I mean, we have probably 40 or 50 agency owners in my coaching program, so like we've really been able to help them. And also I ran a 7-figure agency for B2B for a long time. We were a 7-figure agency 6 out of 8 years, and so I think when I think about that, I think of simple things like making sure that you're talking about things like referring to things in terms of like lead generation, because universal. Doesn't matter if you talk to somebody technical or not. Like, it's not that cool of a phrase for us because we're more like on the digital edge. But, you know, your client knows what that is, and it's a hot button, right? So whether you say you're a digital lead gen specialist, online lead gen specialist, something like that. But I would try to use the word lead generation. The other thing I would do is I think that in my, so one of the big things I've done for like Fortune 10s is try to help them understand like where these markets are going and where technology is going. So one of the things I was sharing in my mastermind, I'll just share with you guys here for free because we love you guys, is I think that, I don't know if I can draw this, but you don't have a board? No, I'll just draw this. But so if you guys Google the word hype cycle, there is this trend in technology that looks something like this. Okay. And what it means,
Pens, guys.
What it means is when the thing starts, it's going up fast, and this is called the hype. Like this is like everyone's buying my boy Dan Henry's course. Everyone's buying like all the hot courses. Everyone's gonna be a millionaire, right? We're freaking fired up. We're like, yeah, right? Everyone's gonna be a millionaire. Digital marketing is the new hot thing, and then all of a sudden,
cryptocurrency.
Right, crypto's like all pumped up, everybody's fired up, and all of a sudden it's like, crap, the market's crashing, right? Or like digital marketing right now, a couple years in agency, we're coming to this crest where people are like, holy crap, dude, I can't make any money, I can't sustain clients, I can't, I'm not able to get enough clients, I'm not able to deliver for my clients, I can't get leads, like basic stuff, right? Yeah. So my estimate is that we are somewhere around this crest where things are good, but it's about to fall off. And what happens during the fall off is it doesn't mean that there's not a demand in the market. It means that there's going to be consolidation, that a lot of people who are doing it are not going to work or are not going to be working at this very much longer. And the interesting thing with digital marketing is you won't know if your competitor is doing well, because we all have websites, we know how to do Facebook Lives, and we can all pretend like, man, we're doing well, we're this digital marketing expert. But the reality is, if we don't have clients and we don't have revenue, if we're not solving a problem, we will not be around. That was the theme of our mastermind last week. I mean, some people paid up to $3,000 to have a seat here, and I'm just telling you guys, like, that was where we really tried to bring people to. It's like, I want to equip you, and that's why Franco is here and doing all this stuff for you guys. Like, we want to equip you to be what I would call a 5%er. Okay, so on the upswing, there's an 80-20, basic 80-20 rule. 20% of the people are going to make it, 80% of the people are going to fail. Everybody knows that, right? On the upswing, like, it's a basic 80-20. Okay, once this thing crests, then you get into what's called the 90-10. Only 10% of the people are going to make it through here. And once it hits, once it starts to, kind of, this is like a realization of, this is like 95-5, which is only 5% of the people who got into digital marketing are going to exist, I would say, within 2 years from now. Meaning they are making their primary income with digital marketing. I think only 5, and this is true, and this is a matter of it's GPS, social media, mobile apps, Internet of Things, like any technology, it goes through this type of cycle.
We'll always go through the hype cycle, is what you're saying. Regardless, any innovation, technology, and new wave, we'll always go through the hype cycle.
Yeah, and so I think it's really important to understand, like, what would I need to do? So I asked this question to my mastermind. I said, what would you need to do to prepare your company to exist in 50 years from now or 100 years from now? Like, you would think very different, right? You would do things different. You would, like, and so I'm not saying, like, get a 50-year goal. I'm just saying, like, you need to think a little bit longer term than, like, how do I get my next client? And, okay, so I'm giving you guys, like, the foundation of my answer here. I think the people who are going to exist and be a 5%er are going to have, that's Matt, by the way, he's on my team. Matt, you want to say what's up?
What's going on, guys?
Okay, because I was going to say, if you don't say what's up, people are going to be like, dude, who is that guy? Like, So Matt runs operations for our company. He's staying at my house right now. But anyway, he's on vacation, by the way. But also, okay, so here's what I would really focus on is how do you own a little bit more of the process? So, like, you might be able to do leads, get leads for a client. How could you also own sales, maybe qualifying sales? So, you can get leads.
So powerful. Can
you also take one step out and start owning some of the sales process? What's the number one thing in all the years I've done agency work, almost a decade, digital marketing agency work, the number one complaint from the customer is the leads are bad. Dude, I can tell you 99% of the time the leads ain't bad. The guy's not calling them, or his sales team, like, is looking at the leads they get in their standard system versus yours. Like, you know what I mean? Like, once that lead shoots over the fence, you have no idea, what happens. So it's not that hard. Like, once you figure out how to get leads, it's not that hard to Google inside sales call center. You can find people for no cost up front. And there might be like a $500 starter or a $1,000 starter, but you can find inside sales teams that you can white label the whole service, and those leads can go into that call center, and they're banging out, calling on the phone to those leads, qualifying them, asking the qualifying questions, and once they warm up, then they're sending them over to the chiropractor or to the lawyer or whatever. So I think, like, looking at what you own and trying to think, like, what is just before and what is just after, and can I also own some of that process? The more of that you own, the more margins you're going to make, the longer longevity you're going to have, and the more stability you're going to make in your business. So I think there's some really fundamentals like that of things that you can do that change your offer and grow your business. Now a lot of people they're going to be going, well, I bought a course and somebody told me I could be a one-man or one-woman show and, like, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, Like, you never called up Russell Brunson or Gary Vaynerchuk or Tony Robbins or Kevin Harrington or somebody and said, hey, are you a one-man show? No. Like, everyone has a team, right? Like, and so one thing that I think the 5%ers are, like, one thing that we really drove home is you have got to get a number 2 in your organization. You've got to get a number 2. You've got to get somebody that you clone a part of you into, and it could be a virtual assistant. It could be somebody that you spend $300 a month on, but you've got to get somebody working with you so that you can start to offload things that you don't like to do or don't want to do. And if you guys, you guys are looking for partnerships, what you should be looking for is looking for so in consulting, there's what's called the core competency, the CC, core competency. Even Jay Abraham, Sam Ovens, all these guys teach that. Then there's all the other things that you do that you have to do it's not truly your core competency. Right? And so that's representing like 4 different job titles, so to speak. Okay? You need to find somebody, your first business partner in an agency. This is universal. This is stuff we literally teach $15,000 coaching clients. Your first partner has to be somebody who's the exact opposite of you. Like, they literally don't partner. Look, I've done it. I've tried it. I've seen people try it. Your tendency is going to be like, oh, me and Franco, we get along, we love, we could hang out, we could go fishing, let's be partners. But the thing is, if we don't want to do like the opposite ends of the spectrum, then being like in a 2-man show or 2-woman operation, like for us to be working together doesn't make sense. Like, you need somebody who's the back end and somebody who's the front end. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at Russell Brunson, Ty Lopez, anybody, that's what they have. Like Russell Brunson, he started with Todd Dickerson, guy who runs all the back end. Ty Lopez, he got this guy Alex Murr or whatever the guy's name is. Like, Alex runs everything. Ty just comes up with ideas and talks to people. Like, and so that's what I would really try to do. And here's the thing. There are like thousands of you guys that if you just found each other, like some of you are like, man, I'm good at the funnels and the ads. And some of you, like I was just doing a coaching call today with a guy, and he just signed up $15,000, and all he wants to do, this is a guy, I'm not going to show you his stuff, all he wants to do is John, all he wants to do is talk, sell, and business development, partnerships. That's all he wants to do, and he's really, really good at it. And so it's so like guys like him are looking for the other people who just do the back end, and you guys need to meet up and work together and figure out like how to 50-50 everything, because trust me, getting 50% of $100,000 is more than getting 100% of $3,000. So
James, I just want to say that was like amazing. I'm hearing an echo. I don't know if anybody else is, but that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that. You answered probably like 10 questions that I was going to ask you just in that little spiel, so I appreciate that. Guys, if you are loving this, my favorite hashtag, Dream Big Value, guys, down below. We're going to go through some questions in the comments now, because I know a lot of people actually, guys, ask your questions, okay? Ask your questions here. Because we have my man, James Smiley, in the house. If you guys are loving this, hashtag Dream Big Value. Okay, so we have a question here. Basically, narrowing down your offerings, or what Russell Brunson calls a value ladder. Right? Not sure what that is in response to. What point of your message, if you want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, I think I think if you're starting out, I would just start out with one thing. I wouldn't worry about the whole ladder and all this stuff yet. I would start out with one thing, maybe 2, and I wouldn't get deep into like all the philosophies. This is what I teach people. I'm like, the only philosophy you need to learn is how to make money. That's the only way you're going to exist and do your dream and serve the people and provide for your family. Like, you need income. Yeah. And so, like, you want to think about, like, what's the biggest problem I solve? And ideally, I'm going to boil it down to, like, basic fundamentals, because this is how I teach. Find a hard problem to solve. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's building a website, but find something that's hard for the average person to do. Then figure out how to get paid for it, and then just do that. over and over and over again,
Over.
right? Like, it doesn't matter, like, tying people's shoes. I don't know. Like, figure out something that other people go, man, that's hard to do. So that's the fundamentals of what we're doing, right? And so I think, like, look, we read the books. I got all the .com secrets and all those things, like, up here, like, but don't get caught up in all the. Now, I'm one of the biggest Russell Brunson fans. He's a very good friend, but like, I'll just tell you, don't get all caught up in all that stuff right away. You want to become really good at making money. Yeah. That needs to be, like, for every startup. That's the only thing that's going to keep you alive, And some people say, well, I just want to serve, and I love that. But I'm just telling you, you ain't serving nobody if you don't make any money.
I agree.
You just won't. So
if you can't make money what you're passionate about, it becomes a nightmare, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Gosh. All right, cool. So yeah, guys, ask your question down below. I'm gonna ask you a question that I've been wanting to ask for a while. Okay, and this is something I give you a prelude to. It's still regarding. Well, actually, no. You can. We'll rephrase it. Okay. If you had kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
You have 4 kids. How old is the oldest?
5.
And the youngest?
Like 8 months.
Yeah. All right, cool. So look, here's the question. If you had to teach your kids only 3 things for them to be successful in business and life, and then you had to go away for a long, long time, God forbid, but you could only leave them with 3 like life lessons, what would they be?
I would say the first one would probably be contribute.
Okay.
Be someone who contributes wherever you go. Whether you like people or not, whether somebody did you wrong or not. If you put contribution before everything, there's just a principle in the world, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. But if you put a seed in the ground, something's going to come out, right? So, like, you can call it karma, whatever you want to call it, but, like, if you invest, something will come back. And it's proven to us in nature, but I think that nature was here to show us, like, how our life, just give us realizations about how our life is. And so, like, if you learn to contribute everywhere you go, to try to be the one who contributes the most. Somebody taught me this when I was really young. Probably about 19, someone taught me this, and they said, James, wherever you go, man, like, they're like, dude, you don't have a problem talking. You don't have a problem with ideas. You don't have a problem, getting the job done. But someone was very honest with me. They said, you have a problem contributing. And it is a very good friend of mine. He's still one of my best friends. He's one of my very best friends to this very day. But he told me, his name's Steve-O, and he just told me that. He said, you have a problem contributing. And so everywhere you go, every relationship, doesn't matter. Like my job here is not to show up and say, hey man, like, look at my house or whatever. It's to contribute and to realize that there's 14 people on this and 13 people on that. But those are people with real stories, and each person has a real, they have a, something like there's people, the reality is there's people watching this that they're on their last dime. They're on their last $10 or $1,000, right? And so, trying not to see the number of, thousands of people will see this, but trying to see the number 1, I think, is the most important number to realize is, if you can change one person, or get on one podcast and contribute, or do one course really well, or take care of one, like, the number 1 is really important, and people overlook that because they look at the millions, all those things, and, so I would say contribute. The second thing I would have to say is believe. I just think, like, I think belief has been one of my biggest strengths. Like, my friends used to tell me, like, dude, you believe in people more than they believe in themselves. and so I think, like here's something that is very true. Okay, everybody knows on this call, your life can go to the crapper tomorrow. Like, you can make decisions, you can do something tonight, tomorrow, you can get fired, you can lose your clients, you can piss somebody off. you can go to the crapper in one day. Let me ask you this: why can't you go from where you are now to a rock star in one day? Like, why can't you become the best version of you in one day? Why can't you make all the best changes in your life in one day? Why can't you stop whatever you want to stop and start whatever you want to start in one day? I just think it's like a really pessimistic way to look at it. Like, dude, if you can just become a piece of crap, why can't you become a rock star in one day? That's like, you know. So I tend to try to believe in that. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Those are the two things that really stuck out to me. I think when you said that, I was like, just contribute and just believe, you know. So
that's awesome. All right, cool. So I have another question here, and this is something that one of the big gamers in the group asked earlier. He wanted me to ask this. This is Aaron Gonzalez. He says, "What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs to 10x their productivity?"
Productivity? That's a really good question. I think productivity is like blocking and tackling in sports. You know, it's like you can know all the trick plays, have all the talented people. I mean, I'm here in Dallas. Where are you, bro?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, okay. Like here, I just moved here from California about 7 years ago. So the Cowboys is like, it's like God, guns, and Cowboys here, right? Or maybe Cowboys, God, guns. I have no idea. So... But, like, if you were to match up, and I played college football, so, like, I know a lot about it. But, like, if you were to match up the Cowboys on paper with other teams, every team, like, the Cowboys are the most talented team. They have talent all over the field. But they lack the fundamentals. And so, therefore, they only win half the games or maybe, 60% of games. But they should be winning the Super Bowl. They should be in their best years ever. But, like, when they match up, they've got quarterback better, running back better, offensive line better. Like, everything's better almost. Like, but when they play the game, they don't do the fundamentals. And that's the way it is in business. Is like, something like productivity that you don't see any courses on it really anymore. I mean, you got to be a super bigwig to make money on productivity. You got to be like Brandon Burchard, Tony Robbins, like somebody huge. Because I will tell you guys, you will not sell, and I've seen the data on this, nobody wants to buy productivity, success. Like, no one wants to buy that anymore. They want a system, a process, a hack. They want, you solve a problem. But I will tell you, it is extremely important and extremely fundamental. And so, so ways to 10x productivity. Number one, in fact, let me just tell you, whew, great question, because I just did a huge thing on this that was, like, huge. So, I would say, okay, number one, this is cool, because you guys are called big dreamers. I would say the number one way to gain productivity is to understand what your dream is. Like, look, if you're in this group, you better have a dream, okay? Like, that's like being an entrepreneur group and not being an entrepreneur. This is like, you better have a big dream to be in the big dreamer group, okay? So if you're in the big dreamer group, I assume you have a big dream of, like, a vision, something that you want to do with your life, your business, your family, the world, whatever, okay? Let me just tell you this. The reason you have that dream and the reason it won't get out of your head is because you're supposed to do it. Like what? Why would you be thinking about it? Why can't it just come and go? Like all the books we read, all this stuff. Like, why does it not just come and go? It doesn't come and go. It sticks in your head. It's annoying. You think about it when you take a shower, go to bed, put your clothes away, fold your clothes. You think about it all the time. And people tell you they don't like it, this and that, but you still keep thinking it. So I'm telling you, that is like the evidence that you're supposed to do it. Okay? So, like, let that motivate you that, like, I'm not going to do it. Franco's not going to do it. You're the only one thinking it. And that's the beauty. That is the beauty of it, okay? So I think that, like, changes my level of productivity, my energy, when I have a realization of the truth that, man, that thing in my head is mine. And so another thing I would share is it's really important, really, really, really important to do important work when your energy is high. This is really big, okay?
Guys, write it down, guys.
Like you guys know, like throughout my day, your energy is going like this, right? You're not just pumped up. Yeah, I just got coffee. Like, I grew up in Seattle, man, so we drank coffee when it was in our baby bottle. So, like, I can drink coffee right now and then take a nap. Like, literally, it doesn't bother me. But I got coffee, and I got a super healthy granola thing here that I was eating. Why did I do that? Because I'm trying to control my state. I came home, I was tired. I really was tired, but I wanted to control my energy because I was doing something that was very important. And I wanted to be at a high level of energy when something was important. Okay, not always through the day can you control your energy. So let me tell you this: when your energy is low, you don't want to try to write a book. You don't want to call your best client when you're feeling like crap, right? Like you know what I mean? Like those are things that I'm like I used to do it when I was a kid, right? Because like you sit in a 9 to 5, people tell you that stuff. Like, hey, man, just make all the calls, whatever. I'm like, dude, I don't feel like it. Like, what do you mean you don't feel like it? I'm telling you, like, I really don't feel like it. Like, it's not that helpful for me to make calls right now. But, like, 9 to 5, they don't get that. So, like, so really, and understand, like, not just when energy, but, like, when is the momentum with you during the month, during the week? Like, you ever have that sense? It's like everything you do just happens to go right? Like, you're in those days or those weeks where it's just like, dude, you're like for me, I get so confident, like things are going well. I'm like, I'm 38, dude. I haven't shot a basketball in 15 years or 20 years. I'm like, dude, throw me a ball, dude. I'm going to swish every 3-pointer. Just throw it to me. Throw me that ball. Then I shoot and I can't even hit the rim, right? But like the confidence is with you, right? When that is there, that's when you want to write a book, make a call, record your course. You know what I mean? Like, you want to do all those important things for the month when you feel like that, And when you're feeling down and you lost that deal or whatever, that's when you want to be like, man, I better move that, that blog or whatever, off to tomorrow or something like that. And try to do just more fundamental things during that period.
That's so smart, by the way. That's just mind-blowing. That was, like, a huge value for me. I was laughing because it's so true.
Yeah. And I think here's one more. I mean, I literally talked about it for an hour, but I'll tell you one more big one, okay? Look, every single person struggles with procrastination, okay? I've heard everyone from big superstars, athletes, me, like everyone struggles with procrastination, okay? Here's the thing to realize about procrastination, okay? Procrastination, whatever you're procrastinating about, that is literally the exact thing that you should be doing. Why would you call it procrastination if you weren't supposed to do it? Like if you didn't need to do it. So I switched my brain and started thinking, okay, the reason I'm procrastinating is because this is something really important. I need to do this. Okay. So that's like, cause you look, if you're going to literally, like he was asking, how do you 10X? You got to get rid of procrastination. Like you got to start to manage it. I don't think you'll ever 100% get rid of it, but you need to start to manage it. And so the first thing I start realizing is, okay, man, I am like procrastinating today, okay? But that tells me that whatever I'm supposed to do today was so important that my mind starts going, dude, you're procrastinating, okay? The reason you procrastinate is because of distractions, okay? Distractions that is the most fundamental reason why you procrastinate, you and me, because of distractions. So I told my people, I said, look, pull out a notepad, pull out a piece of paper, open a Word doc, open an Evernote, whatever, and start writing down what is distracting you. Literally write it down. Amazon, Facebook, chatting, talking on the phone. Like literally, you want to write all those things down. Because then you're going to visibly see, like, this is what's keeping me from my goal. And it becomes easier to say, okay, close Facebook, log off, delete the app, like whatever you got to do, right? Like you can manage it more logically and clearly when you know what the distractions are. So
Yeah, that's so cool. I always talk so much about that, about like being able to see the enemy, right? Because if you see the enemy in front of you, then you know how to tackle it, right? You don't get blindsided by it, right? Like so.
dude, that's from the book Art of War. I don't know if you ever read that.
I saw that you post on it. No, I've never
That's
read
sick.
about it.
That's very, very true what you just said.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. What was I gonna say? Have you ever heard of the Pomodori technique?
I've heard of it, but I don't recall.
Pomodori is like 25-minute increments where you're just hyper focused,
Yeah.
and then you allow 5-minute distractions. So
Yeah.
you have 30-minute increments. You have 25 minutes of just extreme focus, and you set a timer, and then you have to restart the timer if you find yourself distracted in that 25-minute period.
Yeah.
You can't pick up phone calls, you can't answer text messages, can't respond to Vox, so you can't check Facebook. If you do, you have to reset the timer.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah, that's been helping me a lot.
That's awesome.
All right, cool. So let's jump into more questions here, guys. All right, cool. So yeah, everybody's loving you here, James. So real talk, big dream, master fundamentals. Okay, guys, let's see more questions. Da-da-da-da. All right. So when you found yourself, or you were talking about, like actually being down in the dumps and stuff, and not being able to do those things. So how would you respond to this question?
What were some of the things that made you overcome those difficult times? Well,
How to get out of that rut?
mm-hmm. I'm gonna say something honest. Can I tell you about so, I had a really tough time when I was 35. I don't mean to like be dramatic here, okay, but I want to say something because it's inspirational, and I think it will help a lot of people because a lot of people deal with real stuff, okay. When I was 35, my oldest son, I told you I had 4, I actually have 5. My oldest son passed away he was 7 when I was 35. And I don't say that to be dramatic or anything like that, but I say that to say, I had a cranking business, and I was 35, and I had done well. I mean, like when I looked at like what corporate recruiters were using as my headline, it was like $210 million in sales, worked for 3 Fortune 10s, IPO'd a company before he was 35. I mean, it was like, and dude, being like coming from poor and like, coming from like an 800 square foot home, like that was crazy to like read that and be like, damn, that's me. Because I think in the back of my mind, like subconsciously, I'm always still that poor kid, and so like it's always like this crazy realization, like, dude, I'm not that kid anymore. But what I would say, the reason I share that all the time is it gave me a realization that no matter what, we love what we do. We're passionate about it. We all feel like we're working hard and accomplishing things. But you got to remember, like, everybody's life is short. We're limited, and I think when my son passed away, I had that realization that like I'm not invincible, and I had this realization that like in 5 years I was going to be 40. And some people who are 40 are probably laughing right now, but I had that realization. I was like, dude, that's 5 years goes by fast. I was like, man, I'm gonna be halfway through this thing, and like, what do I really want to do? And so it put me on a soul searching path for months of, and I really wish I would have done this 10 years ago, because I think if I would have started 10 years ago, I might be reaching millions right now. You know what I mean? Like if that's what I'm ultimately called to do and things work out and all that stuff. And I think eventually, like if that's what's meant to happen, it'll happen. But I think about that like I was young and things were going well, but I think I was just following like what people told me to do. People said, hey, if you're going to get big, you have to do this. If you're going to get big, you have to do that. But I never really thought about like, what do I want to do? And how do I take like what I know and go do what I want to do? And then, so one of the things I didn't like about working with big companies is I started realizing that these big companies, it's like an undercurrent in the executive strategy right now, is they're really worried about big dreamers, entrepreneurs, ClickFunnels users, Shopify users. Like, these are the people who are taking down Macy's, Sears, Toys R Us. It's every Joe Schmo with an Amazon FBA account, eBay account, ClickFunnels account, Shopify account, who can sell a belt, t-shirt, whatever, right? Like, we can sell anything. And so it's like, how do these big brands go under? They're not, like, Macy's not worried about Sears. Macy's is worried about 10,000 people or 100,000 people outselling them. And so, like, when I was working for these big companies, everything that I was doing literally was like, how do I crush all the big dreamers? How do we make it impossible for them to sell? How do we make it impossible for them to buy? How do we buy up all the wholesale stuff so they can't get access? How do we change laws so it makes it hard for them to access things? Right?
That's what you're doing.
Yeah, and so it was
like solve the call conversion here.
yeah, so it tripped me out, man. I was like, dude, those guys are like me. All those little guys, those are me. And so I think my realization was like, I want to go fight on the other side of the line. Like, I want to fight for these rebels, And so so that was my dream, man. I will tell you, man, it changed my life. It changed everything. It gave me this fresh perspective, and it was really, really scary. I didn't know if I was going to make it. I didn't know how good I was going to be. And I never really like hit it hard until I really developed a I launched a new thing last August, and didn't know what was going to happen, but I had guys like Russell Brunson, Steve Larson, Dave Woodward, a lot of the ClickFunnels guys that get behind me, and I was on their podcast and all those things, and that allowed me to launch this whole thing and really take off. But yeah, I mean, so it was really scary, man, because I was just like, I don't know anybody. Like, when I made this shift in 2015, I didn't know Russell Brunson. I didn't know anybody. And so I had to like go out there and for a couple of years, like, build relationships, and building relationships and all that stuff starts with that word contribution. How do I contribute into Russell's world so much so that one day somebody around him says, yeah, that James Smiley guy, and then 3 other people are like, yeah, I know him. Yeah, I know him. That's literally what happened. And that's how he got to know me, and now we're friends, But, I mean, but yeah, so, I mean, I think, like, not everybody goes through, what I went through with my son, but we go through times when we lose a relationship, a marriage, a job, a client, and we feel like, man, it's all over, right? I don't know how many times I've talked to coaching students and they're like, dude, if I don't get this deal, I just don't know how much further I can go. But I'm telling you, whether you get the deal or not, like, you need to believe, and you need like everybody has that. Everybody big who made it has that story that you're going through right now. That story of like things sucked forever, and then, you know what I mean? So it's like, can you, this is one thing I tell people a lot, can you lose long enough to be a winner?
Oh man, that's so powerful. Like,
that's the truth. And like, I know we're sold and we buy these courses and all this stuff, like, oh, you're going to be a winner, just buy this course, bro. But it's funny, like, you never heard like, it's funny how you never heard like any big billionaire say like, dude, if you would have bought this $997 course, like, you would have been able to build a Tesla and a rocket ship, or like, you would have been able to build buy $100 million in real estate with this 997 course. I'm not making fun of 997 courses. I'm just saying, like some of you guys, I love you to death. Now, some of you are thinking like your whole life is going to change with a 997 course. It may not. And so the question is like, can you continue to move forward and figure out a way and just keep learning, grinding, and I promise you, sooner or later you will win. That I think is the ultimate recipe for success. Is like, we all fail, we fail, we lose deals. I mean, I talk about a lot of times how there's times when I can close 90% of sales that I get on the phone with. 90% of the time, and then I'll go to the next month and 6 people in a row I can't close. Like 6 people in a row. They got the money, whatever. I don't know. I just suck or whatever that day or whatever, or that week. But like, so it's like, usually people will get down about that. The first thing you start saying, you get narcissistic. You start saying, like, don't ever, everyone listening to this, okay, don't ever say this stuff doesn't work. That is the lamest thing of all time. I always say, what is stuff? What is that? Like marketing, like funnels, like Facebook ads, social media? Are you saying this stuff? Like, seriously? Then I say, how much money was made today with funnels? Probably like $10 million or something stupid. So do you think it works? Or maybe the way you did it didn't work. And that's the reality of it, right? Like, you can't, like, one thing I had really good coaching in football, and one coach told me one time, he goes, James, we're watching film, he's like, James, he goes, do you realize that all these games, the whole game comes down to like 3 or 4 plays? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, we pretty much lose every play. Like, like we draw it up and nothing goes right. You draw up the next play, nothing. That's why it looks weird, right? Like people flying all over the place, doesn't look very good. But then it's that one play out of 20 that the guy runs through and everything's right, or he throws the ball and the guy catches it and there's not a guy in the way and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't slip on a banana peel. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything just goes right. But there's only a few plays like that in the game. And the whole game is around those plays. And basically, you have to understand, all the other plays you tried, but you lost. Right? Like, ultimately, the play is drawn up to score a touchdown or whatever. And so if you didn't score a touchdown, you literally lost. The defense won. And so that's how business is. And I make a lot of analogies around sports because I think small business is much more like sports than ever before. I think there's this kind of conversions of the philosophies of those two. That's one of the reasons why every single athlete you know who does well now becomes an entrepreneur, because what they learn allows them to be in business. And so so the principles are very true. Going back and forth. So that's what I would say there.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was, again, value bombs everywhere, guys. Guys, if you are loving this, do us a favor and say #Smiley's the man. Okay, Smiley's the man. So here's another question just popped up. So when prospecting, and I know I want to be respectful of your time. Okay. So
I got time, bro. If they got questions, I got time.
All right, awesome. So for prospecting, what's the best way to reach out in order to hook a dream client? How do you find your dream clients?
Okay. One thing I would say is, are you online or in person? Very, very different. What's the question again?
So the question is, when you're prospecting, what's the best way to reach out to actually contact one of your dream clients? And
I'm assuming the person's talking about like D100 stuff, right?
I'm guessing so, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple things there. So my dream clients, 2 of my top 10 were Russell Brunson and Kevin Harrington, and I've reached both of them. Yeah. So now that means I failed on 8. So remember that, guys. I failed on 8, but I got 2, and those 2 changed my life. Okay.
Yeah, man.
So you only need one in your whole life. Like literally, your life, your family, like everything could change if you meet one of your top dream 100 clients. I actually these are like ironic questions because I literally did a teaching about this. I literally did a teaching about this.
Yeah, high level thinkers here.
Yeah, these are like really good questions. The number one thing I would say is you need to figure out this is not cliche, how do you contribute into that person's world? Okay, so when I said 2015, I've got to become a friend of Russell Brunson, but this is when he started ClickFunnels, like everybody was starting to get on the Russell Brunson craze, and it seemed impossible, literally impossible. So I'm thinking like, how do I contribute, okay? So I know every Joe Schmo is sending him packages like true D100 style, right? They're sending him books, they're sending him shoes, they're sending him all kinds of stuff. When I was outside of that kind of internet marketer industry, like when we were at AT&T, I was running a big sales team, and I got a hold of the CIO of Vonage, CTO of Rackspace, like big, like Fortune 200 companies. But we would send a trash bin to them in a big old box, kind of weird, like it's a huge box. We usually would find their alma mater and send them that. And then we would put a note in it that said, hey, this is the trash bin. You can put all the money you're throwing away until me and you finally meet.
Oh, nice. Man.
You know, or like until you return my call, go ahead and throw all the money you're losing into this trash bin. And so, believe it or not, like about, I would say like 50% of the time, some really high level person would email us back.
Really?
And sometimes it was just like, ha ha, good one. But the person emailed us back, right? And now we have their attention. So on one of those clients, I really shouldn't say who, but one of those clients, we ended up signing an $18 million contract. It was like a six-year deal or something like that, but it was $18 million contract value. We sent the guy a trash can, okay? So that was like hilarious. We're like, dude, we sent the guy a trash can, and 6 months or 4 months later, he signed an $18 million deal. So, and that was the big joke when we got that thing signed. We're like, dude, this all started with a trash can, bro.
That's crazy. They're just thinking outside the box, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's another question, and it's cool. I want to ask it because it's something that I've been down to ask you too. And so every single time that I try to get like high level entrepreneurs inside of this Big Dreamers group, I always want to ask them this question because just the answer to this one question is like it could serve us in so many different ways, right? I honestly believe the relationship between like a coach and a student should be that the coach has already been there, right? The student just sits and executes, listens and executes, right?
Yeah.
So here's the question. And also somebody said, mine is blown, 18 million ROI for a trash can.
Right. That's a good one, 18x.
So here's the question. I guess they're asking this for both of us, but I'm just going to ask it for you. What was the biggest mistake you made? What was the key lesson you learned from it? I'm going to rephrase it for you, okay? What I want to know is, because I saw a Facebook post, right, that said, like, you could have $5 million in the bank and fast forward your life 5 years, I think, or you can go back to when you were 10, knowing what you know now, right, and going back. And so those are the two options. What would you choose, right?
Yeah.
And so I would imagine, I mean, at least for me, I would love to go back to when I was 10, and I would do things a lot differently, right? For your experience, from your experience and everything you've done in your career, what would you do differently, right? What one mistake would you like avoid, and what would you put your focus on? Like, how would you do things differently if you could go back in time?
What like the first thing that popped in my head was like, I think I would have just been a giver more early on, because I think like okay, I'm 38. I was 20 in 2000. So, like, I grew up in the information boom, right? Like, these kids now are growing up in the mobile boom. Like, I grew up in the information boom, right? Like, so, like, information in general, doesn't matter if it's expertise about whatever. It could be, like, anything. But information is everywhere. But good information is hard to find. And so, if I would have contributed more younger and not just focused on what got money in my bank account, and, you know, I think I would literally be like 10 or 20x where I'm at right now. Yeah. If I would have did that 10 years ago, I'd probably be 20 or 30x where I'm at right now. Because, like, people always say, like, how do I become an expert? I tell them straight up, you got to tell people what you know. Like you can go get clients and all that stuff, and that's important, super important, and you got to be able to deliver. But at the end of the day, you got to tell people what you know. Because no one, like CNN or Fox, ain't calling you up saying, hey, what do you know about, you know, internet marketing? No one's going to call you. So, you know what I mean? So, like, if you don't go out there and tell them, then you better just assume no one knows. And so, like, I grew up with this kind of scarcity mindset of, like, well, I better keep all my intellectual property and all my ideas and everything secret. But what I didn't realize is, like, number one, 95% of people aren't doing nothing with your information anyway. Probably 98%.
Yeah, right.
Number two, the 2% who are going to act on it, you don't want to screw with them anyway. They're so good. Like, you want to be friends with them and you want them to think cool of you. So it's like you might as well hook them up, right? So it's like you can't lose. Usually, you can't lose. I just think like like when you're poor, then you make a lot of money. I didn't make six figures every year. I was kind of up and down for a few years. But pretty much I started making a ton of money, and then we IPO'd, it was over. But arrogance came in right away. I was young. I was living in LA. I had money. And I remember like going places and like a waiter's treating me wrong. And I remember like saying, I want to talk to your boss. This is not right, blah, blah, blah. I wish I was never that person, Yeah. And it took me a long time to finally like realize that and then get out of that. But see, if I would have just been a giver, because, I mean, for all I know, that person's having a bad day. Like, why can't you know what I mean? Like, and so, I don't know. I just feel like being more of a contributor. Like, I wish I was doing this 10, 15 years ago in everything that I did. I spoke at CTIA, spoke at AT&T Stadium with Robert Herjavec, like, I mean, I've spoken at some big places. I wish I would have had this mentality when I spoke there. I would have been the most popular guy there. But instead, it was like, hey, what's that one dude who worked for... You know what I mean? Like, you just went in there and tried to sound smart and academic versus trying to go in there and just drop so much knowledge. Everybody's like, dude, that Smiley dude, I got to talk to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
really,
yeah.
But I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Everybody says this is definitely advice I need to hear. That's awesome, guys. So you guys have to understand like the value of what just was dropped here, because each of us are, for the most part, I would imagine, like way behind James in our professional careers and our big dreams and stuff. And so he's telling us what he would have done differently. So you guys need to be writing this down, ingrain it into your minds. And what's awesome what you said, James, is cool, because like I used to be afraid of money, right? I used to be afraid of money and I think you were with Chad Thibodeau and you guys did a live, and I was on that live and I was asking you questions because that's when I was struggling with this, right? And Myron Golden, you and Chad helped me out so much in my fear about money, because
I think I remember that. I think I remember that question. It stood out to me. I remember that.
Yeah, what I was afraid of is that as I become increasingly more successful and I start to get more arrogance, how do I stay humble? How do I, make sure I don't turn into a person that I don't want to become, right? And I had this correlation between the money that I made versus the type of person I was going to become. And you helped me crush that mentality, that limiting false belief and stuff. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, brother.
Thanks for saying that, dude. I think there's a delineation between success. Like, success to me is like you can do something well. You can be at the top of your game. You can be in the top of your city, whatever. I think there's a difference between success and like fulfillment. Mm-hmm. Feeling fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
And I think like when you lose appreciation for something simple, like I was swimming with my daughter today at the house today, and like I was noticing little things. I push myself to, even though I got all this stuff going around, phones buzzing, all this stuff, like I find an hour to just notice the little simple things, like how she smiles and she wants to play these little games, like let's go under the water together and look at what number I'm holding up. Like when you've lost that, like I think it doesn't matter how successful you become, you struggle being fulfilled. But when you really look at life, like it's not that hard to be fulfilled. Like you just got to become a little bit grateful for the basic stuff you got. You know what I mean? Like honestly, I remember I was at a Tony Robbins thing like 10 years ago. Dude, he had me bawling like a baby girl, baby boy, whatever. And he was like, if you can't go out in your backyard and like be thankful that like, there's wind that blows on your face and that the grass is green so you can frickin' breathe. Seriously, like sometimes like when you're really feeling down, you can go out and sit like in your yard or go sit somewhere in a park and just be thankful that like there's clouds or the sun's out or whatever. Like you can, like, it's almost like I feel like, the universe or God or whatever created this world to heal you. And so like when you're feeling that low, like you can like there's so many things to be thankful for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to be amazed by.
100%, brother.
And I think it changes the way you do business, and it comes through. That appreciation comes through in your products, your services, your talks, everything. When you can find that out. So.
Amen, brother. That's 100% true. And who else has been to a Tony Robbins event? Let us know in the comments below. He's also made me cry as well, because about that same exercise. Just like being grateful for the things that you have, you know what I mean? Just like we're all true. I mean, every single person that is on this Facebook Live, is of the 1% in the entire world, right? And you just may be in the 99% of America, but you're 1% in the entire world, right? So understanding that, having a good vantage point, perspective, right? That'll help you understand your story, right? And compare that to your life condition, and then you guys will be on your way to contentment and fulfillment. So that's valuable. Thank you, James, for that.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna keep bringing this up until you tell me to stop, brother. But we are past our time, so if you need to head out and stuff like that,
I'm good.
If you're good, then we're just gonna keep going, guys. Awesome. All right, because I got 3 pages for you, brother. We only touched on
let's hit as many as we can.
So, all right, there is a question that I wanted to talk about, which is your team, right? So your team, building up your team. So how big is your team, and then how do you go about finding the right players to build up your team in any business?
That's a really, really good question. A lot of I when I've talked at big events, I've had people say like, "Dude, how did you do two $20 million lines of business before you were 35?" Definitely wasn't me. Like I don't know how I learned this. It's just like intuition, I guess. But I was just like, I better go find like the smartest people I know. I mean, I don't know why. I just had that thought, and I was like, okay. So like when I was at Telenav, I hired this guy named Drake Zwolin. He lives in San Diego. He's a total baller now. But he was working at a telecom company. He was one of the best salespeople I knew. And I used to call him Ballin' Zwolin. That was his name. Ballin' Zwolin, baby. He was, and I taught that dude like so much. But he was a great salesperson. Like, and so getting really good, fundamentally good people is really important. Like, how do you find them? I would like if you want a system like now, how do you find somebody that come in your agency? I would make posts in Facebook groups, ClickFunnels group, my group, your group, any group, or your personal page, whatever, and make posts and say, hey, I'm looking for, like we just made a post and said, hey, I'm looking for 2 sales reps that can make at least $180,000 a year or more. That's pretty much all the post said. So it's like, dude, you like, 80% of who you get is people, knuckleheads, screwing around, but you're going to get some guys who are good, guys and gals who are good. They're going to be like, they come in kind of cocky, but you kind of know, like, when you're talking to one of them. And so we just signed somebody yesterday. I think we signed this guy named Javier, and he's going to join our team and help us with the Kevin Harrington stuff. But yeah, I mean, so like that was really simple. Like, we put out a post, and we got like one of the best guys. He's certified by one of the top programs, and it was easy to kind of delineate who it was. Like if you want the exact, we have a whole system of how to do this, but basically the nutshell of it is, so you come up with your core competency, then you come up with outside of that ring. I showed you that circle. Like, what are all the job titles that you have to outsource in order to do your business well? It might be like project management, it might be Facebook ads, it might be client relations, it might be customer service, it might be funnels, might be whatever, right? So you write all those things out. Okay, maybe 2 titles, maybe 3, maybe 10. Write those out, write out a simple job description. But when you write out the job description, specifically talk about the top performer. Don't just put in minimum requirements. Okay, that's like 9 to 5 talk. If you put in a minimum requirements, you're going to get like 99.9% of the crappy people are all going to apply to your stuff. Okay, you want to put in like, you better be this. Like, you want to put in like stuff that's hard. and then so you'll get people applying, and then what you do there. What we do now is we tell them to. So everyone who applies, we tell them to send in a video. And so this has been something really big that we've done that's helped us drive a lot of automation. That way we don't have to call back 100 people. Is now I can tell you right now, 90% of the people ain't sending you no video. Like they just won't do it. Some people won't send you a video, but they'll send you like a voice file, or they'll send you a really long thing, like they're from another country and they don't have a camera. Like, but you can tell if they have put in some effort, right? So we use that to kind of like weed out the, hey, I want to be rich or I want to be working with you, but they don't really work that hard, right? So we have them send in the voice, the video file, and then usually what we do from there is we'll look at the stack of like 10 resumes, or we'll look at it on the computer, and we just use the standard A pile, B pile theory. So this is like what a lot of people do. Now we've got it down to something manageable. So we'll just look at it, first person, go A or B, B. Next person, A or B, A. Next person, A or B, A. And we basically try to get that down to about 4 people. So if you end up with like 8 A players, then do it again. Start with the 8, A or B. Tough, but that person's a B. A or B, B, right? You start like figuring it out. So you delineate it down. You get down to a small number of people. Then what we do is we send them a screen flow of a task. We send everybody the same task. So it's like create.
I was wondering about that. If you have them all do that same task.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll do that with 4 or 5 people. And we'll say, create this Excel file or create this Google file. Here are the headers. Add me here. Then call, like if it's sales, we'll literally tell them, like, dude, here's 10 people, call them. So like literally, we're like, hey man, you got an hour. Call all 10 people in an hour. So like you will figure it out. Like if they're a funnel builder, hey man, build this funnel, blah blah blah. Like a great thing to do for a funnel builder is give them a really complex site. Say, hey dude, hack this whole site in 24 hours. So like if they forget the pop up, if they don't do the second page, if they, you know what I mean, like they don't put the footer in, you kind of can tell their level of work. And so you got to pay. Usually we'll get them to, we'll pay them for that. So we'll pay them for their time. So that might cost us like $200 or dude, it's like I just went through 100 resumes to get down to 5 cream of the crop people, and I didn't even talk to anyone yet. Like, so that's totally worth it. And then what I can tell you is, I don't know why this is, but out of 10, usually 2 people will do it. Will do the whole task. A lot of people, like more than half of them, won't do it, or they won't do it well. Like they won't complete it.
Even the people in the A pile.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the weirdest thing. I'm like, bro, can you not tell? I told you to do 20 things and you gave me back 7. Like, that's weird. Like, why would I hire you? You basically telling me you're not going to do your job. And so, so like that we use that system. It works really, really well. It's really streamlined.
Do that for Matt.
Say what?
Do that for Matt.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I'll be honest, like I had 3 other Matts before him, and he's by far been the best. Like don't tell him this, he's listening, but he's been, I'm teasing, but he's been by far the biggest game changer employee that we've had. He runs all of our operations, and I had 2 people in the Philippines, great people, but they just couldn't handle the workload, and they couldn't handle the dynamics of the job. And then I had another person here in the U.S., just not a good fit, not a good detailed person. And then finally Matt. So I have been through that process 4 times to find Matt.
Thanks. Yeah.
And now he's definitely one of the most important people in the business. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So again, I want to give you the opportunity. I have one more question that we're definitely going to end with, and so that'll be reserved. And what that is like, what is your sales message? What do you want people to know about James Smiley? If you see yourself in 5 years and stuff like that, and God willing, like you are where you want to be, what does that look like, and what is your message going out there, right? But if you have more time, we have more questions.
Sure.
Obviously, there's still people on here, but I just want to let you know that that's sort of like what we're going to close with, because we want to know what your big dream is. Right?
Sure.
And then any way that we can contribute to that, that'd be amazing.
Yep.
All right. So guys, again, continue. If you guys are loving this, if you guys want James back again at some point, hashtag encore down below. We'll see if we can persuade him to come back again to drop more value bombs. All right, cool. So a question here is what I wanted to know too is like who right now are you studying, are you looking up to as a role model and learning from to get to that next level, and what does that next level look like for you, right? Because we're all at different stages in our entrepreneurial journey, right? And so my next level may be to be like half of what you are right now or where you are right now, and so yours is where and what are you doing and looking forward to getting there.
That's a good question. I'm particularly studying Ty Lopez right now. I kind of laughed at a lot of stuff he did early on, and then so for a long time I studied Russell. For long before that, I was really big, and like a lot of the core things that I do and believe come from Jay Abraham, Chet Holmes, those guys.
You see this book?
There you go. There you go. Yep. So yeah, but right now I try to study and really indoctrinate myself. Number one, I'm a big time learner and I study around the clock. I mean, Matt, coming here, I think he's realized like, dude, this guy is indoctrinating himself all day. Like when I wake up in the morning, I put on something, brushing my teeth, listening to something, driving, listening to something. Like I couldn't tell you the first freaking top 40 song in the world. I don't know what's playing on television. I don't know who won the Super Bowl, but I can tell you in the latest stinking thing going on in my industry because I study it, And so, but anyway, I think learning from Russell the last few years and really like going deep and wide and how he started, how he built, all this stuff was huge. Right now I'm studying Thai. And the reason is I kind of started learning a little bit more about what he was doing. And I was like, this guy is pretty darn smart. I got to give it to him. Like, I don't know him, but I'm like, man, this guy is really, really like a genius level guy. Like where, like, for one, like so every mastermind, I think this is like the 7th or 8th one we've done in the last year. I usually ask the question, who here does not know Ty Lopez? Raise your hand. I never had somebody I can't believe it. I never had somebody raise their hand. I also asked the question, who here doesn't know, you did not know who Russell Brunson was? And over all those, I probably had 4, 5, 6 people. They come from different industries, whatever. Probably 6, maybe 6 or 7 people. So I'm like, okay, if everybody knows this guy, that tells you he's making a lot of money. Like, because it all starts with attention, right? And then all the money flows from there, whatever you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, whether you like him or not, whether you do it or not, I'm not saying I'm going to do everything he does. I'm just saying, like, there's something he's doing right because every Joe Schmo in the world knows this guy. And so, so that tipped me off to like, man, maybe I should try to figure out what he's doing. And so the more I got into it, I spent some money, bought some of his courses, talked to some of his people, and even just like researched. I called his hotline a few times, trying to see like what they sell, what they do, trying to build a relationship with somebody, trying to say like, how long have you known Ty? Trying to get him to tell me some stories. I've really studied YouTube really hard on Ty and tried to see like, when I study these guys, I'm not trying to learn what they're teaching. Typically, I'm not. I'm trying to get in their head and see, why did he teach this versus that? Why did he start with social media secrets and then go to how to build an agency and then go, like, why did he do that? And then I look at, like, the first one he did, how it kind of like had this like yellow light and he was up on a whiteboard. Honestly, it kind of looked like he was being interrogated. It looked kind of like a weird, when you look at the membership area, like this is like a weird, if I would have, let's just be honest, like he looks like a Mexican dude with a thing and I'm just like, dude, like, I'm like, if I didn't know this guy, like I'd probably think like he's in jail or something, but he's just dropping bombs on you, right? And then, so I was like, dude, he started there. Then he went to this other one. And I'm looking at the model. I'm looking at what he did, and so I've really been studying that. And I got to be honest, I'm just like, dude, this guy is smart. Like Like, and he doesn't live or he doesn't work nearly as much as Russell Brunson. And I'm pretty sure he makes way more money. His net income is way higher than Russell. But, I mean, I'm not saying if Russell sells ClickFunnels, he's going to be sitting pretty, I'll tell you that. But, but anyway, so I think, yeah, so anyway, so that's who I've been studying. And once again, not saying that, like, you know, I'm not, you know, necessarily aligning personally. I don't align with, like, some of the stuff he does. But I guess I've had this thought because I grew up in sports, like, you know, you may not like the way an athlete is off the field or what they say, but when they get the ball, you better watch out. Like, because if they got talent, they're going to run you over. And so it's important to pay attention to the talent on the field is what I'm saying. And so to me, like, I look at what he does on the field, so to speak, and it's very intriguing to see what he's doing. So
James, it's so awesome to hear you talk about that because in my webinar, right? So I have my course. I'm selling it through a perfect webinar. Obviously, to come Club X, right? And
yeah.
From, like, perfect webinar, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I recently launched mine, and that was my epiphany story, right? So
yeah.
I love the social media marketing agency. He was at a whiteboard, and he's doing this thing, and he has a typo, right? Here I am, like, stuck in prison. I'm in my job. And I'm, like, looking down at him, like, I don't even know who this guy is. I'm not even listening to him, so that he can't even spell, right?
Yeah.
Myself, like, he fixes his typo and continues on like nothing ever happened. And that's when I realized, like, damn, he's sitting in a mansion, and I'm here trying to figure out how to get out of my 9-to-5 job, you know, earning $27 an hour, and I'm, like, making fun of him. You know what I mean? Like, are you serious?
Right.
And so cool because what you just talked about is, like, speaking, like, reading between the lines, right? And high-level entrepreneurs like yourself, like Ty Lopez, like Russell Brunson and stuff, you guys don't even know all the time what you're doing. It just works. It just makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And you just act on it, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, we can hear and listen to what you're teaching, right? But when we can get past that and then go to what you're actually doing, that's what makes the difference.
That's when you're going to be a serious player. You're dangerous when you start thinking like that. Yeah. You really are. Like I saw what Dan Henry was doing really young or really early. I was one of his. I think I was like his 58th student. But I saw because he posts all these stats and stuff, and you know he was just like super flashy. And I wasn't paying attention to any of the extracurricular activities. I was just looking at the numbers. And I'm a total business model guy, and I'm going, man, if this kid's for real, if these numbers are right, he's going to be a millionaire. Because I know a lot about ads, and I started AT&T's ad account, and I know a lot about it, and I've been a part of scaling campaigns that did millions of dollars, and so I'm like, this is some crazy stuff. And so I literally messaged him, and I believe my very first message wasn't even hello. I just messaged him my credit card number.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, because I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be like I wanted him to remember me. And so it's funny. I always tell this story because he didn't even say hello. Who are you? He just ran my card. And then he was like, I think he was like, dude, I can't believe, you know. I think he was something like you know, I can't believe that actually went through or something like that. He was like, I thought that was a prank. And but you know, we started talking, and I learned a lot, and I also saw what he was doing, and that helped me, right? That helped me build my business. Was learning what he was doing. Russell sold this thing, I think two funnel hacking lives ago. He sold this thing called Fill Your Funnel, and it was $3,500. And I realized at that moment where my business was and all this stuff and I realized there was about 300 people in the back signing up. And I said to myself, that's 300 people that are potential coaching clients of mine if I do this coaching thing. And I was like, is it worth $3,500 for me to be in a Facebook group with all those people? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so not only that, but I actually partnered with 2 other people. So we split that thing 3-way because we're in a similar business. So we split it. We went in on it, and I'll tell you that's one of the best investments I've ever made in the last few years. Was now a lot of those people are my clients.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, probably like 12, 13, 14 of those are my clients. And we sell 15,000 to 5,000. So you can do the math. Like, that was like super worth it. But see, like, when you're sitting there getting pitched, if you're in the matrix, like, you're just moving with the herd, okay? In the matrix means you're just sitting there being sold, like, you know? Like, if you're just sitting there in the matrix, like, that's not the place to be. The place to be is on the outside, going, dude, what is going on here? What are the opportunities? Why is he doing what he's doing? You know, that kind of stuff. And so that's why I go to conferences.
Yeah, on stage behind the curtain, we're watching all the table rush and figuring out, like, it's because he said that one sentence, you know, like that one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, brother.
Yep.
100%. So, Fill Your Funnel, you actually went through, I have access to that course now, part of the 2 coaching and stuff like that. I haven't gone through it yet, so.
Yeah.
Worth it?
It was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of stuff. I mean, like the way that I look at that, most people would go, well, I went through it, and I don't know if I got $3,500. Like, some people just don't say anything. I look for ways to make money all the way around. I'm like, who did I meet? Whatever. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was like super worth it. It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So I'm afraid that you're gonna start billing me for your time, brother. So
I'm just hanging out, man.
You're cool, man. That's awesome. Sweet. So, guys, if you are loving this, ask more questions. We're going to extract as much we can from his brain. This is a question that somebody had before when we actually ran through the event and stuff like that. And I was promoting and stuff, asking for people's questions. This one is a very particular question. Someone has a big dream in the Big Dreamers group. I know who she is. She's part of my inner circle. And she has zero capital to start out that big dream, right? So how would you suggest to get funding to kick the project off the ground?
What kind of project in general?
Software.
Software? That's interesting. Can you tell me anything about our industry or anything about it?
Yeah. So we're tackling like the big dream again. I mean, don't scoff. This is Big Dreamers.
Yeah.
The big dream is to take down or provide a better service than a connector. So I'll use a different industry. So like beatingmatch.com, something like that, something similar to that. Because she didn't want me to share. So entirely different industry, but something to compete against or become better than a different industry, which is like match.com.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways that people do it. Obviously, one would be, is there any opportunity to pre-sell any of that kind of stuff, right? One of the guys that was here at our event, he's a mobile app guy, and he's raised over $1 million, and like I've given him a lot of ideas of just like, okay, you have this expertise of how to build in this industry software. Mm-hmm. So that intellectual property that people want this stuff, that has value. And so I've asked him, like, are there ways we can monetize this value before you build the software? So for instance, like for one guy, we went out and we did a digital conference online about software or the trends in this market. And we were able to, raise a few $1,000s. And what that did, I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000. But what that did was it showed potential angels that this person is for real. Like they're willing to do whatever to raise $6,000. So I would do that. The other thing is, so like I would just look at like, are there ways you can scrap together money here and there? And a lot of times you can pre-sell, you can use Kickstarter, all these kind of things to like start generating money before it's built. So I would look into those avenues. And then if you're going to go down the actual investor route, I would just know that it's a lot tougher than it's been, but if your idea is good, like good ideas trump everything. And so I would really try to just really know your numbers, and I just wouldn't give up. I mean, like, That's the thing is like a lot of people just think like they're going to go in and pitch once or twice and they're going to get like $5 million, and that usually just doesn't happen, huh?
Yeah, that's the two plays that you're talking about, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like if you had to pitch 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, like are you willing to do that? And that's what I would do is I would just keep hitting it because I think early on, like I've been on this trail with a lot of companies, Silicon Valley, I've pitched to Menlo Ventures, Liquid, which is Joe Montana's company. This is in the last like 8 years, like Whisper Ventures, like Lehman Brothers, like tons of big capital firms, and like or been a part of those pitches, and like when you're starting out, you're either going to get picked up right away or you're not, and usually you're not. Then you're going to go through a few more, like maybe 3 or 4 more, where it's kind of like they're not saying yes because the other people didn't say yes. So they're like, oh yeah, if those people didn't say yes, I don't want to. But once you get through to like 8 to 10, now all of a sudden it's like, dude, this person has some guts. Like if they're that determined, people will take you serious. They're like, okay, you've pitched 13 times, you've pitched 21 times. People will bring you in just because of that. It's weird how that is. But people will bring you in just because you haven't given up, and it shows. And so I wouldn't lose the enthusiasm and all that, and I would just keep trying. And you have to sell. You have to know, like, you've got to outsell everybody. You've got to outsell all your employees. You got to outsell all your competition. Like, you have to sell your stuff. And I've done it before. Like at Telenav, we did 133 million, and I think it was 3 or 4 rounds. I think we did 133 million. I wasn't around for the last round, but yeah, some of those rounds were 7. Some of those rounds were 30. 33, whatever. Some of them were huge. Some of them were bigger. But I mean, yeah, I would be very careful also. Like I would just know your strategy, like a lot of people, for instance, like I started a mobile app company a number of years ago, similar to Voxer or WhatsApp. And I built it for, I think it was like $4,800, maybe. It wasn't even 5,000, but somewhere around there. I found a guy on Upwork, built this app. It's different than WhatsApp and whatever. And then I had a company that wanted to buy it, a VC firm, a venture capital firm that wanted to buy it. And I ended up selling them a licensed version of it for only $80,000. So I was like, dude, I just built something for $5,000, sold it for 80 within a year. That's pretty good. Like, yeah. I didn't get greedy and say, oh, this is worth millions and millions. Like a lot of, if you look at a lot of venture capital success stories, a lot of people hit it on their second or third round, their second or third company or whatever. Like even. Anyway, I won't go through it all, but there's a lot of people that who did really well raising money, where the company them for was like the third company they were pitching. They got no money on the first, no money on the second, or a little bit on the second, but they crashed and burned that, and then they started the company you're thinking of. So, So yeah.
Thank you for that. That was awesome. Never mind, I won't get into that. But I have this theory of like me and Alex. I guess I will get into it. Me and Alex of Blue Fox Media, we were like talking about the life cycle of like entrepreneurs, right? And so entrepreneurs quit their job and then go to become agency owners, and then they realize that maybe sometimes becoming an agency owner is very difficult and dealing with clients. And so how do they get better, without get customers without expending time, energy, or resources? They go into create courses, right? And then over there, now they want the recurring revenue, not the one-time hit, right? And then they go and build software.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like a life cycle of like major, entrepreneurs, influencers, and stuff.
Yeah.
So another question, and I know that you're working on this, is for your brand, how important do you think a personal brand is to building a business?
So I think companies come in 2 different brands. I think that there's personal brand and then there's brand. And
Yeah.
so, there's a lot of advantages to personal brand, but I think that personal brand is the way to go when you're starting out. And if you plan on being an entrepreneur, solopreneur type of company where you have just contractors and stuff like that, I think that it's been proven time and time again that personal brand is the way to go. The thing is, it is so difficult to get people to catch on to a company a company name. I had this brand called Ultimate Influencers that we first started. This is before anything took off. And so we were driving. We had conference. We were driving it hard, put a lot of money into it. And it never really took off in like a year and a half. But then as soon as I started this thing, James Smiley, it became a lot easier because people don't want to be associated with a brand. They want to be associated with a person. You know what I mean? And so like you hear a lot about story selling, all these things, right? Well, it's hard to tell the story of a new brand.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to say? Like, hey, we started this brand. The vision of Ultimate Influencers was to be the ultimate and influence. Like, it's not that compelling, you know? But, like, if it's me, I can tell them who I am, my story, you know what I mean? Like, it's more human, and it's more, the people attached to that, and they synthesize with that. So, I think personal brand is the way to go. I think that we're in an era where that's more possible than ever before. It used to not be possible. I mean, the technology wasn't there. Like, if you guys got to remember, okay, 5 years ago, you couldn't build a personal brand that well. Like, it took a lot of money to really do it. Now, like, you have a phone. And I say that to say, like, you can advertise on the same platform and in the same way that Fortune 500s are going to advertise. Like, think about this. Like, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you're like, man, I got a great video idea, but there's no way for my video to reach 1 million people. Well, now, if your video's that good, it will reach 1 million people. In Target, in Kmart, in Sears, if they got a great video, it may only reach 100,000 or 10,000 people. And so you live in a day when you're not as limited, like your talent can take you so far. So far. Like, if you got the talent, don't hide behind the structures and everybody says a digital marketer looks like this, we dress like this, we talk like this. I mean, just go out there and be as uniquely you as you can,
Amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing. That's wonderful. I actually think of that sometimes too. Whenever, I sometimes post like hour-long videos on my profile and stuff, and then it ends up getting like 200, 300 comments, and then I don't know, 2,000 views and stuff like that. And then you see like another, like a huge influencer, right? And the reach or the engagement isn't that high. And it gives you like perspective, like, man, if you are just dropping value, it's going to get out there.
Yeah.
Right? It's out there, you know what I mean? And then you can compete. Right?
Yeah.
That's what all it is. It's like, can you compete for the attention of your audience?
Yeah.
Right?
And I want everybody to think about what he just said, okay? Like, how hard 10 years ago was it for you to take your message to 2,000 people?
Mm-hmm.
That would cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you could fill a room with 2,000 people to listen to you, I mean, that would cost a lot of money. Okay?
Oh my gosh, you're right, yeah.
Now, I mean, he just told you how to do it. Like, he can do it every week.
Yeah.
Or every day if he wanted to. You know what I mean? Like people underestimate that. I'm like, right now, there could be 20 people watching us live, but in the next few days, 600 people are going to see that. 600 people. That's a lot of people, I mean, there's conferences that aren't that big.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh.
And you like that's why I tell these people, I'm like, you got a phone. Like, what do you mean people don't know what you do? What do you, like, you have a phone. The only reason they don't know is because you don't tell them. That's the only reason,
Yeah, man.
So.
That's fine. All right, so I know we're getting into the later hours of the night and stuff like that. You have a family and 4 kids to go to. So let's close it up with this. I just want to know what your big dream is, what you want people to know about James Smiley, so we can all spread the message of how you're trying to change the world. Your big dream.
I think right now, my biggest dream is Like we want to, like we just started this partnership with Kevin Harrington, and so we've got a big goal there. We want to try to reach like 5,000 entrepreneurs,
Awesome.
and so like I don't honestly even know a coaching program that has 5,000. Like not Sam Ovens, not I don't know anybody who has 5,000 people. So there's a lot of things that we have to do. I mean that's really pushing the envelope to try to get 5,000 people. So like there's a lot that we would have to do there. So I've got that dream kind of on the short term. For me, I think my passion and my long term dream is I probably want to. I don't know if this is exactly right in terms of the timing, but it would be kind of cool if by somewhere after 40, maybe a few years from now, 3-5 years, something like that, I would like to somehow be involved in the in some of the political conversation. I don't know if that sounds weird, but I think that it's a big passion of mine, and it's in particularly like racial relations is a big passion of mine.
Okay.
And I just find that, like, in my opinion, I think people just don't understand each other. You know, so like one person has an experience when they were young or whenever, and so they think every time somebody does that, looks like that, whatever, that everyone's the same. And so somehow, I don't know how to do it, but maybe it's like we start a talk show or something where like people can who have very hard stances against each other can somehow come together and share their story. Like, why do you think that? You know, a white person versus a black person versus an Asian person. Like, why do you think that? You know? And I feel like I don't want to be there to judge per se, but to let people because like when you understand somebody's background, you know, you're like, oh, so and so saw that type of person, and then that person did this, and so that's why they think this. Not justifying it. I'm just saying that's why they think that, right? And so like you can help people understand, I think, a lot more about how to interact in the now when you kind of understand their background, because it seems so irrational, right? When you see people doing all the crazy stuff going on, it just seems like weird, but they're doing that because there's a story behind it. So I don't know. That's the kind of like where my mind and my heart's been going. Is I'm just like maybe somehow I can help unite these people, with an understanding that like you know not everybody's meant to be united, but that doesn't mean you're meant to be enemies. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
Yes. Love that. We have encores. So I 100 million%. Yes. So that's amazing, brother. And I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, bro, I found so much value in this. Just talking to you and stuff like that. And you're a true giver. You're a genuine person and a true big dreamer, 100%. So I honestly believe that every big dreamer can accomplish their dreams if they have these 4 things. So knowledge, network, tools, and resources, right? So right now in your business, what do you need to achieve your dream? That maybe somebody watching this replay and it's going to be on a podcast and Big Dreamer Radio, if you're cool with that, of course, and like all that stuff, anything that we can help. What is a challenge in your business right now that maybe somebody, some way, somehow could help you out with?
that's a good one. I think just anybody who's you know wants to drop anything that's like a tag or just say, hey, I heard this thing from James. Like those things go a long way, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes a long way, and it's really, really huge. You know, and then we got a big goal ahead with this Kevin Harrington thing. So you know, if anybody you know had any way they wanted to contribute there, that would be cool as well.
Talk to us a little bit about that. I'm happy we have a group of full. I mean, everybody on here is an agency owner. They're all entrepreneurs, right? We're all big dreamers, stuff like that. So give us an opportunity. I feel like it's my moral obligation to make sure that I steer this flock towards people who are genuine and true like you, man. So let us know. Let us have it.
Yeah, thanks for that. And number one, for everybody watching, don't feel like you have to buy or anything like that, or anything. Just being here with Franco is all the value that I think you need, you know. But so we're kind of in a like a beta version of the coaching, and the cool thing about that is, you know, it's just it's at an unbelievable deal right now. So like at my program, we signed up like 12 people to be a part of coaching with Kevin and James. And so the first day we sold. The second day at 8:30 in the morning, people got on a Skype call with Kevin Harrington, the Kevin Harrington.
That's
And
amazing.
I mean, it shocked people. It did shock me because this is the first time me and Kevin have done it together. So I'm not sure like how engaged is he going to be, like all that stuff. But I can tell you, like I love working with him. We were becoming really good friends, and I think we learn a lot off each other. And like, I told him like, if we give, like, if we give into these people, like like all the goals and all that stuff, we don't even have to worry about that stuff, And so he took 30 minutes and looked at every single person. Every person stood in front of the camera and said, "Hey, my name's Nathan. Hey, my name's Jorge. Hey, my name's whatever." And he said, "This is what I do." And he literally said, "Okay, you do that. You got this physical product. You need to meet these people. I need to get you connected here." Then the next person got up. He's like, "Okay, you're an agency owner. I'm partnered with an agency that they do. They have about 1,000 different outsourcers, so we need to get you connected to those people." Another person came up and said, "Hey, I'm writing a book." He said, "Okay, I need to get you connected with these guys because they can help you with the marketing of your book." Like it was amazing, and I was like, so right now, we're selling seats to that, at like it's nuts. So we're selling seats to that for $2,500, which is like, it's like, are you kidding me? $2,500, and so
$3,500 and so worth it. Just imagine this and being connected with you and Kevin Harrington on a one-on-one basis for $2,500.
Yeah, so it's not going to be that way for very long. I can promise you that. And we're probably going to take in a few more, to be honest with you, not a lot. But if anybody's interested, they can follow up with PM me or PM Matt on my team. He runs operations. I think he's in the group here as well.
Yeah, you guys are in the group now.
Yeah, Matt Augustino. But really, what it includes is there's an 8-week masterclass on starting a digital agency and getting it kicked off the ground. There's 8 weeks of coaching that come along with that. So you're going to meet with Rob and Alex on my team. Who Robin, when I partnered with him, he's running an $800,000 agency. And so him and I partnered, and he started running all of my back end. So remember I was telling you, like, you need a who. It's more of a who than a what problem initially. And so, like, I found, Robin, and we work really well together. So he really started running all my back end. So Robin's going to be, like, the main coach through those 8 weeks. And that's making sure you get off the ground and leads are coming in, all that stuff. You don't have a problem with leads, fulfillment, outsourcing, any of that stuff. And then when you graduate the 8 weeks, that's when you get on a call with me and Kevin. And so you're going to be able to get on a call with us, and we'll kind of talk you through your business. Honestly, if you want to pitch Kevin. Like I can tell you, this guy is a deal guy. Like, he wants to make a deal with everybody. So he's not offended if you pitch him. Just get your stuff concise, and I show people how to do that. So you can do whatever you want, pitch Kevin or whatever, and he'll pay attention to everybody on the call. So it's not a thing you have to worry about, like, are you going to get any attention? You'll get his attention and mine. And then, we'll help you with your business, help you get connections, whatever you need. Our Rolodex, we usually open up whatever, if you need to get with somebody or whatever, if you're through our program, we'll try to get you hooked up. And then the other thing that comes with it is you'll be able to come to our conference. So we're going to have a thing called Consulting Conference, a Consulting Con. And I think we're shooting for May right now, but you'll be able to get a ticket to that as well. And so it'll be me, Kevin, and it'll be a whole bunch of other really big speakers. So obviously Kevin is connected to, like, the Grant Cardone Network, like the Russell Brunsons of the world. Like, we're going to have some big speakers there. I'm not saying Russell or any of those guys are going to be there for sure yet. But we'll get some awesome people there and make it massive value. So so that's kind of the deal.
Yeah, that's amazing, brother.
Yeah, and and then there's going to be up levels from there. Like, so like once you launch and you launch your agency, you're kind of graduated through our program. There's an upsell that you can buy, and I don't know what it's going to be, but right now it's $3,000. So if you got in now, you could be a part of this upsell for $3,000. And basically what that is there's a video that Kevin and me, but you can get just Kevin, will do a video promoting you. So he usually will come here to my house, and we'll spend a day, like, recording videos for all of our students who graduate. If you bought the upsell, So it's like you just went through how to build it, how to get launched. Now you probably have the most valuable marketing piece of all time, because that's all you need to do is send somebody, hey man, do you want to see like what Kevin Harrington's recommendation, you know?
Gosh.
And so Kevin will be like, hey man, this is a video. Shout out to my man Franco, and he went through our program. He's one of the top in the country. You really need to work with him for this reason, this reason, this reason, and you know what I mean. So like you'll get that video from Kevin for about $3,000. So we're really trying to like take people through like the big issues that they're going to have is getting credibility, getting a first big client, like getting a client that'll pay you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That way you can like have somebody sustain you. And so those kind of things can really launch you and take you to the next level. So
100%, and that's so awesome that you're bringing this to this group, because I teach them almost every day the power of having a virtual sales room, and especially when you fill it with big time influencers and celebrities like that, that's unbelievably powerful.
yeah,
I always call it testimonials and IOUs. So literally, you're paying for this IOU that somebody else, multiple other people are going to cash. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's powerful. So awesome. Thank you so much, James. I cannot say enough how grateful we all are. So as the leader of the Big Dreamers community and stuff like that, I just want to thank you so much for spending your time here with us. You are a true big dreamer, and guys, we're trying to convince him again to come back, James, down below in the comments. the more likes and hearts and comments we get, the more people are going to see it, and the more people are going to hear his message and what he's trying to do in this world. Okay, so again, thank you, James. So I appreciate everything you're doing, and I look forward to your success, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate everything you're doing here, man. I really enjoy watching people like you. You know, you took big action, got in the program you're in. Obviously, you're executing on it like crazy. I mean, dude, you reached out to us. We really didn't know who you were in the beginning. Then I look you up, and this is one thing for everybody to learn. Like, when you reach out to people, like, your stuff has to look, look like somewhat up to people's level, so that they'll go, hey man, like I want to, like, so I'll go, hey yeah, I want to associate with that guy, right? Like sometimes people reach out to us and we're like, dude, I love this guy, but like, just the way everything looks, like it doesn't look like anything we would be a part of. And so, no man, you got your ducks are in a row, your funnels and everything, like everything just looked awesome. Your content was really good, and it was impressive, man. It was really impressive, and I can just tell, like, you guys that are following Franco, you're really lucky right now. I'm not just saying this because I'm telling you this because this is true. This is totally true. Like, you're really lucky right now because you're getting on the front end of this with this guy. Where like in 3 years, you're not going to get this stuff like at the same, like there's going to be a price associated with it or something. Like, I'm telling you, the way these things work, people get so busy, they're going to have to start charging and stuff like that. So like the fact that you've got this guy the way you guys do, you know, just ask him whatever you need. Be open and honest with him, and the more open and honest, like the better questions you ask him, the better answers you're going to get.
Oh,
so.
100%. Yeah, man, you are awesome. Thank you so much for that, James. I appreciate that, bro. If it's cool with you, I'm going to clip that out and make that a video testimonial.
For sure. For sure.
Love you, brother. Thank
all right,
you so
man.
much for all you do. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Love you, dude. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, everybody. Bye, big dreamers.
See you, dreamers.
Stay humble and always dream big. Peace out. And I think we are done.
Cool.